You know that feeling when you're driving and you see the gas station prices jump 20 cents overnight? You feel it in your gut, that quick calculation. How much is this going to cost me this month? Now imagine that feeling, but instead of 20 cents, it's $2. Instead of one station, it's every pump in the world. And instead of overnight, it's been climbing for 26 straight days with no end in sight. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes targeting Iran's military and leadership. By March 1st, Supreme Leader Khamenei was dead. And by March 3rd, Iran did something that changed everything. They didn't just retaliate with missiles. They turned the Strait of Hormuz into a war zone. 21% of global oil consumption passes through one narrow waterway. 21%. That's 1/5 of everything the world uses. To keep factories running, trucks moving, planes flying, and homes heated. And for the past 26 days, most of it has been trapped. To understand why your gas bill is about to destroy your budget, you need to understand why this strip of water has been a dangerous choke point. Whenever war comes to the Persian Gulf, history doesn't just rhyme, it screams. So let's go back. Let's go back to 1973. October 1973. Egypt and Syria launch a surprise attack on Israel. The Arab oil-producing nations embargo oil exports to the United States. Oil prices triple within months. Triple. If you're paying $3 a gallon today, imagine paying $9 by Christmas. Fast forward to 1979. The Iranian Revolution overthrows the Shah. Iranian oil production collapses. Prices double again. Another recession. More inflation. 1980. Iraq invades Iran. The Iran-Iraq War lasts 8 years. The Strait of Hormuz becomes a shooting gallery. The world learns. The tanker war. Each time the pattern is the same. Conflict in the Persian Gulf. Oil supply disrupted. Prices spike. Global economy shudders. At its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles wide. 21 miles separating the Persian Gulf from the open ocean. Every day, 18 million barrels of oil pass through this strait. Almost as much oil as the entire American economy uses every single day. 70% of the oil that goes through Hormuz is headed to Asia. When this strait closes, it hits the factories of Shenzhen and Singapore. Iran's military strategy has always been asymmetric. They can't match the U.S. carrier for carrier, but they have geography on their side. On March 3, 2026, they pulled that trigger. Commercial tankers suddenly found themselves under fire. Mines appeared in shipping lanes. The insurance companies made their move. War risk insurance went from routine to prohibitive. The strait didn't just close. It effectively closed. As I'm recording this on March 27th, Brent crude has surged past $100 a barrel. Some analysts are whispering about $200. Oil prices don't just affect the pump. They infect everything. Every product that moves by truck, train, or ship gets more expensive. In 1979, I spoke with a truck driver who had to choose between fueling his rig and feeding his family. He slept in his cab. Why the 2026 crisis might be worse. First, spare capacity. In 1973, Saudi Arabia had massive spare capacity. Today it's at historic lows. Years of underinvestment mean there's no safety net. When Iranian oil goes offline, there is nobody who can quickly replace it. Second, Inventory levels. Strategic petroleum reserves around the world have been drawn down over the past few years. The U.S. SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is at its lowest level in 40 years. When Biden released oil from the reserve in 2022 to fight inflation, he was solving a political problem and creating a strategic vulnerability. That vulnerability is now exposed. Third, the nature of the conflict itself. This isn't a regional dispute that can be contained. This is a direct war between Iran and Israel, with American forces actively involved. The United States has struck Iranian nuclear facilities, military bases, and leadership targets. Iran has retaliated against American bases and Israeli cities. The escalation ladder has no obvious stopping point. And fourth, the Hormuz problem specifically. Even if a ceasefire is reached tomorrow, the strait doesn't automatically reopen. Mines take weeks to clear. Insurance rates don't fall instantly. Ship owners, once burned, are cautious. And the psychological impact, the realization that this choke point can be closed at will, permanently changes risk calculations. I want you to hear from someone who actually moves this oil. This is a shipping executive I spoke with last week. He told me, "We've rerouted everything around the Cape of Good Hope. It's adding 3 weeks to delivery times and massive fuel costs. But we can't get insurance for Hormuz at any price. The strait is closed until the underwriters say otherwise. 3 weeks longer. That's 3 weeks of delayed deliveries. 3 weeks of supply chains stretched to breaking. 3 weeks of factories waiting for raw materials, of gas stations running low on inventory, of markets pricing in uncertainty. And the Cape route? It's not free. It costs more in fuel, more in crew time, more in wear on vessels. Those costs get passed down. Now let's talk about the winners. Because in every crisis, someone profits. First, the obvious ones. Oil producers who aren't in the conflict zone. Saudi Aramco, ExxonMobil, Chevron. When prices rise, their margins explode. They're selling the same barrel for $40 more, but their costs haven't changed. In the first 3 weeks of this crisis, the 5 largest Western oil companies added $300 billion to their market capitalization. While drivers were paying more at the pump, shareholders were collecting dividends. That's how this system works. Second, defense contractors. When war breaks out, governments buy weapons. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. Their stocks have outperformed the market. War is their business, and business is good. Third, traders who bet on chaos. Hedge funds that bought oil futures. Commodity traders who stockpiled inventory. This is the dark side of markets. When catastrophe strikes, the people who saw it coming get rich, while the others get poor. In 1973, 1979, and 2008, high oil prices were factors in global crises. Energy is the foundation of modern civilization. We're already seeing it. Protests in Europe over energy costs. Political pressure on governments to do something. Germany is pushing for de-escalation. Japan is exploring diplomatic channels. Even the U.S. is feeling pressure as elections approach. Every oil crisis creates a push for alternatives. This time it will be electric vehicles, grid storage, and domestic production. But transitions take time. We're stuck with a system where one waterway can hold the global economy hostage. The 2026 oil crisis will be studied for decades. But for you, right now, it's not history. It's the reason your costs are rising. The world adapts. Markets adjust. Understanding the system is the first step toward protecting yourself in a dangerous world. The oil will flow again. But now we know how fragile this system is and how quickly 21 miles of water can change everything.